What's going on, everybody? Sliding Dutchman here, and today is a good day. They've dropped the new 1.15 update on GT Sport. As you can see, Gran Turismo Sport has been updated. Now, me and a lot of the people from the drift community, we're looking forward to this update because they finally added Tsukuba. Came as a surprise yesterday, because every update with cars they also drop in a new track. We didn't know what the track was, but turns out it's Tsukuba, so now we have a place to go instead of Suzuka East all the time. Nice little drift lap. Also be good for lower end power cars to do time trials and stuff like that. Speaking of time trials, I think they will handle it when I press next. Okay, first we go through the cars. As I said in the video yesterday, and as you guys probably have seen on other videos or on Facebook or whatever, because if you're a little bit in GT communities, you get bombed with this message, with all the new cars that are in the game. So I'll just go ahead and show you the cars, I guess, because we've seen that list. Tsukuba circuit is here. Nice. Unfortunately, I only see Tsukuba circuit and no different layouts. There's no cutting off the long straight at the back. Basically, where they come together, there's a little loop where they go through when it's in the drifting layout or stuff like that. Anyways, more than happy that the track is here. Yeah, they also added some stuff to the GT League. So the single player racing is a beginner league, is a Nissan GTR Cup. The amateur league has a Red Bull X Junior Series, and the professional league has a Japan GT Championship, which I made a little error in the video, seeing those cars like what GT3 or whatever. I also said R32 instead of 3. I meant 3, but whatever. But turns out that it's a new class titled the Group 2, aka it's the Super GT class. For people that are not familiar, it's kind of the racing class from Japan. It's Japanese, just wide ass big wing race cars, and I really love that because for the people that follow this channel a bit longer, I'm into the Japanese cars the most. And I don't feel a love for big supercars and stuff like that. So Super GT is the GT 500 or whatever you want to call it. Has always been one of my favorite classes. Cherry Blossoms special collection added. I think they have a few of those tree pictures in there, but can't have enough because these are very cool scapes to use. Okay, I'm fine with them doing this, but give us the old Mini. I mean, how can you not love a Mini? If you're any real car enthusiast or whatever, petrol head, gearhead, whatever you call it where you're from, you need to appreciate a Mini for the styling it had, the character the car has, just the looks of it, and it's kind of timeless. And if you're driving up to a tuner meeting or old-timer meeting or whatever kind of car meet you drive up with a Mini, people are gonna like, hey, that's cool. At least that's my experience. Some extra Renault information. Oh, this was what I was talking about. We can only use the VR in just VR tour mode, which was basically you pick a car and you get a AI opponent and he will race you. And he was very, very slow. Just it's like it was built to be at the demo in a game store, and any 10-year-old can hop on, try it out, and win and have a good feeling, basically. And also, if you did like Nürburgring is 1 lap, if you do a little bit smaller track, like Dragon Trail, whatever, it was gonna be like 4 laps. So you always had a limited time of playing. Also, when you were drifting and way slower than the car that was racing, because he had racing tires and just goofing around. If he had done the 4 laps and you're only on your 2nd lap and you crossed the finish line, it was over. So that also sucked. So now we can do the time trials in VR, which will be very cool, because I think because of the scaling and your place in the car and having more fuel in VR can help people achieve higher time trial times on the leaderboard. You can call it cheating. On the other hand, we've paid a lot of money for that extra experience, so it's like buying DLC. Don't complain you don't have it if you don't get it, basically. But yeah, now we can do the time trial, so, and we can push for the leaderboards, get sick times, but also we can do as many laps as we want. So if I want to go drifting and I want to go drift for 50 laps and stay into that immersion without just every time hopping out, hopping in, hopping out, hopping in, because the longer you stay in it, the better it gets, basically, because you forget that you're well, you not forget that you're in a game, because of course you're in a game, but it gets more immersive the longer you stay in it, basically, because I don't know, maybe you can imagine it, but it's kind of hard to explain. It's with some VR games that pull you out of the gameplay every time, or switch camera angle, like Bravo Team is the first-person shooter, basically. But then it's kind of Time Crisis style, so if you go from one point of cover to the other point, the camera goes external, seeing you in third person, and your character is running to the next obstacle, and then you're back into first person mode, which really pulls you out of the immersion, and it's one of the downsides of the game. Anyway, this is epic. Next. And that was it. So I'm gonna buy all the new cars now. First, I'm curious if I have enough money. Hey, what's going on, guys? I noticed that the video that I was making, for some reason my microphone got disconnected and didn't work, so I'm gonna be commentating over it through this way. It's kind of hard because I don't have that first feel that I had at first with the car, but I'm gonna try and do my best. Of course, I'm gonna leave some exploring for you guys to do, because I'm not gonna ruin every driving experience. Some cars I like more, some I like it a bit less. But anyways, this is the Ford GT. It sounds pretty angry, pretty cool. I also like the way it was balanced. It was a bit playful, a bit nervous, but not too out of control. I think this can be a good car to do races with, as long as you drive in all the same type of cars, like level 1 cars. So if you're gonna compete this to something that's much newer, you need a lot of extra horsepower to do that, because it hasn't the best corner stability, but it's fun. And I'm gonna do 1 lap and then on to the next car. So this is the Honda NSX. It's a Group 2 car, which is a new group to the GT series. Or basically it wasn't new, it was in previous GTs, but they called it Group 2, or they call it Group 2 now. It's a new addition next to the Group 4 and Group 3. This is a little bit more race-orientated build, but a little bit more powerful. And it's supposed to represent the Super GT class, or GT 500. It's the racing series they have in Japan. And I'll wait till the crash is over. Just ignore that. They feel kind of good. They're well balanced. They're kind of similar to the GT3. They're a bit faster, but also they're a bit more balanced, I think, as far as I felt them. So it's like the same but a little step up. Also, we have a few more of these cars, so they're gonna have their own little group class, and I don't think that GT is done adding those cars, so I think they will add more to make the class a bit bigger. So on to the next one, which I presume is the Lexus. Kind of similar driving style or feel to it. I think they're all rear-wheel drive. I'm not sure, but I think they're all rear-wheel drive. And well, same as the other one. It's a nice car. They grip well, very fast, and especially I think bigger tracks than this, because Tsukuba is a really small track. But if you take it on a little bit fast-paced track like Suzuka and just the normal one, I think it could be a very interesting race, because at low speeds, low gearing, you tend to oversteer more easily. But as soon as you're up to speed, the downforce just pushes the car down. It works perfectly. So, on to the next one, I guess, which is, I think it's gonna be the other GT2 car, the Group 2, sorry. It's gonna be the Skyline. Yes, the R35. This was one of my favorites in GT6. At least this was one of the cars in that class that I used and drove. Again, like the others, they're quite, if you're paying attention, they're quite similar. Again, grippy, good. They all sound good, like extreme, but they're a bit too maybe vacuum cleaner-ish for me. I like a more natural sounding car. To me, it's like games like Assetto Corsa have the best sounding cars. They sound good, more natural, realistic, and even if they like Need for Speed is doing, if they take the realism a little bit out of it, make it a bit more aggressive sounding, I don't care. If it sounds good, you want to just keep revving and never have to change gear, basically. So, sorry, the GTR. Very cool car. But yeah, you have to find out for yourself what you think of the Group 2, because they can be a bit of a handful, because they're pretty fast. This car is a Lexus, which is one of the Group 3 additions that they added. This, well, I think should line up with all the other Group 3 cars. It's fast, not as fast as the Group 2, the GT500, but still pretty decent car. I have no real connection with these cars, like most people know, of course. I'm more for the drifting cars, and I love drifting a lot more, so I race occasionally, but I rather race in normal street cars that you see out there on the street, or meetings, because like a Skyline you don't see every day, at least not where I'm from. But yeah, this N300 class, and go for it, it's perfect. I love it. So this is where it gets a little crazy. This is the Red Bull, for people that are unfamiliar with it. This is the Red Bull Junior, which has a little bit smaller tires, a little bit less downforce. It has a bigger brother, which is called the Red Bull X 2010, 11, whatever year. Don't really care much about them. But it's basically, this is a dumbed down race car version, and the other one is basically if they could make a race car or Formula 1 car without restrictions, because they have restrictions in terms of aero, power, stuff like that, and they just give this thing over 1,000 horsepower, crazy amounts of downforce. It's not the fan car that was in the previous GT that even had a fan on the back that sucks the air from out underneath the car, so it creates a sort of a vacuum, so the car gets more planted on the road. But that was insanely over the top. I don't even think there was a driver able to drive that car on the max potential, because the G-forces were so unreal, just getting knocked out in the first corner basically. This is its bigger brother, the what is it, 20? I don't know what the name. I just call it the Red Bull X. Still sounds as weird high revving as all the others. But I think for time trails and people just really want to be fast, this can be a fun car. I'm also gonna try this a lot in VR, because as you can see, the cockpit, it's like a jet fighter glass that you have over you, and you can basically look up if you want. And I think this cockpit view just perfect for immersion, and the fact that it's going so fast, and especially in VR you have so much more sense of scale. You feel how small you are on the track instead of you looking at your television. You really can feel vulnerable at those high speeds in VR sometimes. I've had it in dirt before. One of the first times I was playing it, and I was going really fast and perfect, and suddenly out of nowhere I miscalculated a corner and I flew into the trees, and my first reaction was just so it can be really cool, so I'm looking forward to that. Next car is another GTR. People complaining there are a lot of GTRs in the Gran Turismo series, but it's Gran Turismo. What do you expect? They've always been around the GTR for since the first part, and he has a love for GTRs basically. So that car will always be very lost the English word for it. Anyways, problem with this car that I was having is that I was jumping from the Red Bull into this. The Red Bull has amazing brakes and it goes very fast, and this is back to basics. It has not the best tires available. For some reason I even have the traction control on, but I was having a lot of trouble braking this car, and it can be because it's maybe a bit hefty and I don't have the weighty, heavy, whatever, and not have the right tires, or it's that I was getting used to the Red Bull even after one lap and just miscalculated every turn. A little power slide at the end. I think we're gonna reach the most exciting cars of the pack. At least that's in my opinion. I'm working up sort of in an bad spin out in an order that I think the cars are the coolest. Not that I necessarily started with the worst one in my opinion, but I'm saving the best for last. That's the only order there is. So this is the Aston Martin DB11. I still not a big fan of new cars, but if I had to get a new fast car, I tend to go to cars like Aston Martin, because I don't know, they have some sort of style class that you cannot get with a BMW or an Audi in my view. I don't know. Is it a bad thing that I already forgotten how this car handled in comparison to the other cars? I mean, I can tell something about the car, but this is just nothing. So apparently this car is not worthy of mentioning, because no, it's I'm not going to be driving this thing a lot. I bought it to have it, but yeah. Maybe if there's a one make race event or whatever, I need to use it, but cool car nonetheless. Next up is gonna be a Ford Mustang. This is gonna be a custom car from a shop that has built this. Probably a SEMA award winner, which they tend to do. I don't have that much backstory of this car. Could have looked it up, but I don't know how many people are really interested in that, instead of just showing off the car, how it sounds, how it feels, how it drives. I think I've put comfort softs on here, and I've put it onto the drift setting, trying to drift it, but as you see, I'm having a lot of trouble with it. Also haven't drifted today, so I just jumped in and gripping with cars, and now suddenly drifting. Maybe that's an excuse, maybe it's just a race car driving excuse. I think this car has a very wide wheelbase and a lot of torque, which is not convenient for drifting in that case, because it wants to, like this, it just tried to get it straight, but it just keeps going left and right until you get it straight. And I fucked it up. Anyways, I think this can be a fun car to drift. Also, by the looks of it, extra beefy that it is, this can be a good replica of the Unicorn, the cam block version, even though it's not four-wheel drive, but four-wheel drive drifting sucks in my opinion. It's just completely different. I'm curious to see how the other cars stack up against this one. You have that Chevy Nova and cars like that, which is pretty driftable. So once I get a tune on there, I will compare them, see how they run. Next up, we have the R33. A lot of people thought by going by the silhouette that it was an R32, and the R32, the shape of the roofline on the rear is a bit more steep, and people thought that it wasn't R33 because they look a bit different. Still turns out to be the R33, which I'm happy about, because now we have the whole collection basically completed. There are more Skylines before that, but we have the R32, the R33, 34 and 35, and even a Nismo version and then the racing version. So there's a whole generation, whole family now. Almost completed. Would love to use to see some other old Skylines, but I would rather see GTST versions of the car, which is, for the people that don't know, is basically a GTR, but it has rear-wheel drive. Of course, it has a little bit less power, maybe different engine, turbo, whatever setup. There are small differences. It's not the GTR, it's just the Skyline GTST. But rear-wheel drive, so it's good for drifting. This is still four-wheel drive, so it's fun. Will be a good race car, but as a drift car, I'm not a big fan, unfortunately. Interior looks cool though. Still a big fan of the car. Gonna use this as a race car. So on to the next one, which I think are the two last and most interesting. Here we go, the Mazda RX-7. This car is one of my, I think, favorites now in the game because of the drift and car culture that it is in. There's gonna be a lot of cool drift liveries for this car. It sounds also pretty cool. The orange plating. One negative thing, you're gonna hear it, is that annoying buzz. The other RX-7 had it. I didn't know ever RX-7s did that, and well, this is doing the same thing. Every time you hit the rev limiter, it tells you need to shift or change gear, and for drifting, well, you're sometimes bouncing the rev limiter or in high RPMs. It can be very irritating just hearing the beep constantly. For racing, it can help because as soon as you hear beep, you switch gears, you change it. But I wish they just had taken it out, because cool that you stick to the realism, but it it's more annoying than a very cool feature, I think. Anyways, I drift in bonnet view, or at least that's what I prefer the most. That way I have balance of the car, good view. The only thing I don't like is that I don't have a rear view mirror, so I don't see what's behind me, or like in a Assetto where third person cam is a bit better for tandem, so you have more awareness of the cars around you, which if you're now tandeming, you need to look out that you don't lose them in your blind spot basically. Still likes to drift though. Can be a good car for some fun times. Okay, so basically I was a little warmed up now after one lap and getting back into the drift train, and you see that this second lap is way better on the drifting part. Keep in mind though, all the cars have a stock setting. I just changed it to the drift sheet and put comfort softs on there. I like comfort softs. Comfort hard are sometimes a bit easier, but they just don't hold any speed through the corners, and I like to be a bit like fast-paced drifting, because to me the comfort hard just feel like ice. And if the front steering wasn't that snappy sometimes, I would have gone with sport tires, but still figuring it out and learning along the way, and maybe I'll find a good car tune, or either step up my technique to make it work. Anyways, I like the RX-7 a lot. It's one of my new favorite cars, like I said, and I'm looking forward to some cool liveries. I can already see I heard Hoonigan style livery Drift Stallion on this one, and I'm gonna create something of my own as well, Drift Squad livery. So with that, I guess on to the next one. Finish this corner. There we go. Next. Flash the lights a bit. Pop-up headlights, always good. Cars with pop-up headlights never let you down. Here we are, the last one, the BMW E30. Has never been in GT before. Really love that car. I've driven it a lot in the Assetto Corsa, drifting wise, and I think that a lot of people wanted this car into GT. I even know people that are not really into racing games that have ever had GT. They're like, why is there no E30 in the game? Well, now there is. Also, this is one of the cars that's going to be full with drift liveries, racing liveries. I mean, the DTM official livery that's going to be on there. Falcon drift versions. I'm going to try to recreate one of the Assetto Corsa liveries that is on the E30. I think that can be quite cool. And further on, yeah, the car feels really balanced. Like the front and rear wheels, it doesn't feel like the rear end is slippery and wants to spin out very easily. Just feels pretty well balanced. Overdid it here a bit, but also this is on a stock setting, so not any tuning done to it. So as soon as I start lowering it, make it a bit more stiffer, maybe play around with the toe and camber, stuff like that, it's gonna be epic. Because this will be a great drift car, gotta be. And basically, if you put it on the drift sheet, every car in GT is driftable. Some a bit harder than others, but keep it in, and now kick it, drift it. So yeah, after this video, I'm basically really looking forward to hop into GT, make liveries, find liveries, create setups, and just do a lot of sliding on Tsukuba. I'll be online tonight, so if more people wanted to join us, the lobby is gonna be called Drift Squad Tandems on Tsukuba, of course. And yeah, you're free to join in, to hop in. My PSN name is in the beginning of the video on the sheet. Feel free to add me. And well, Oh, that's, yeah. I was thinking I had one more thing to say. I just got Far Cry 5, cause shout out to my girlfriend. She just bought it yesterday and kept it a secret, and I woke up this morning, she was like, here you go, cause I love you. Great. So now I have Dirt Rally to finish, a new update in GT, and I have Far Cry, so I have 3 things to do and I don't know where to start with. Anyways, my question was, do you guys want to see some walkthrough gameplay, or just some simple footage or custom levels that you can do? In short, do you guys want to see some Far Cry footage? Far Cry 5. If you want, I will post some videos. If you don't care, then don't say anything. I will keep the level of car games and everything up, of course, but just something extra for if people are interested. It's a cool game, a very new game, so I want to thank each and everyone for watching so far. Let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe if you want to see more GT footage, and see you next time.
Remix!